The Hoverjack and Hovermat is stored in this black bag and it is centrally located for all units to use. The jack and mat are found in the center compartment, with the pump and the hose being on the exterior compartments. Here you can see all of the pieces deployed. The blue piece is the jack, while the maroon piece is the mat. The Hoverjack pump operates on standard U-ground 110 volt. Once power is connected to the pump, the hose must be connected to the canister. You will see 4 grooves which will slide into the canister, and the hose will lock to the canister with a twist in a clockwise manner. Tightly secure all 4 red caps onto the white valves. Here you will notice the inflation valves are labeled 1 through 4. That is the order that they should be inflated. Once you've determined that the red caps are on and the valves are open, attach the hose and begin to inflate, starting with valve number 1. As each section becomes full, you will hear a change in sound pitch of the pump. This is an indication that that section is full, and you will remove the hose and go to the next one. There is no need to cap the previous valve unless you will be deploying the device for a long period of time. You will continue to fill sections until the Hoverjack is at the desired height. For demonstration purposes here, we've filled all 4 chambers to show the maximum lift height. Here you see the hover mat resting on the inflated Hoverjack. To inflate the hover mat, insert the hose and you'll see that there are snaps connecting to the hose and the hover mat. Once it is secured, fold over the Velcro and fill the hover mat. Once the pump is turned on, you will see the hover mat inflates quickly and gives extra lift and support. To deflate the hover mat, we will reverse the process by turning off the pump, removing the hose, and allowing the device to deflate on its own. Firefighters can help the deflation process by rolling the hover mat as compact as possible. To deflate the Hoverjack, we'll remove these red caps. Listen to how much air pressure is in each one. Wow. Similar to the mat, the jack can be deflated by pushing the air towards the deflation end. Once all the air is out of the Hoverjack, it can be folded back and placed into its storage container. When stowing the Hoverjack, ensure that the red caps are on the white valves so that it is ready to use on the next deployment. With all of the air out of the Hoverjack and Hovermat, they will both fit neatly in the black carrying bag, along with the pump and the hoses. In this simulated patient encounter, we will see how the Hoverjack and the Hovermat can be used together to bring a supine patient from the floor to the stretcher. Each firefighter will take a component out of the bag and set it up for deployment. The pump should be placed where there is power nearby, and the jack should be placed down next to the patient. The patient's head should be several inches below the top of the jack, and make sure the chamber with valve 1 is against the floor at the foot end. The hover mat will be deployed on top and positioned accordingly. Once both devices are ready, it will be positioned next to the patient. Firefighters will then log roll the patient, and the mat and the jack will be slid underneath. As much of the device as possible will be stuffed underneath, and the patient will be log rolled back onto his or her back. The patient will be placed as near to the middle as possible. The hover mat's design allows patients to be slid with relative ease. Once the patient is in position, the straps will be applied loosely. Firefighters will ensure that all straps are secure prior to lifting. When the lifting operation is ready, the hose will be attached to valve number 1 and the pump will be turned on. The firefighters will continue to fill the hover jack until the desired height is reached. Once the jack is at the desired level, the mat will be filled. This will allow the firefighters to easily move the patient from the jack to the stretcher. Here you can see the device fully filled and at maximum height. Depending on several factors, firefighters will grab the handles on the hover mat and slide the patient to the stretcher. Once the patient is in the desired location, the pump can be turned off or the hose can be removed, and the hover mat will deflate onto the stretcher. If the response warrants the hover mat going to the hospital with the patient, it is preferred to use a disposable model shown here. The hover jack is designed to be easily moved by one firefighter using the strap and pulling the patient. If additional firefighters are needed, you can see the grab handles on either side of the hover jack. In the event of a lift assist only, the hover jack can be deployed behind the patient. Once the device is in place behind the patient will be assisted in sliding the device underneath his or her bottom. Once the device is underneath the patient's bottom, he or she will be able to slide back firmly onto the device. Once the patient is positioned in the middle of the hover jack, the lifting operation can begin. Turn on the pump and attach the hose to valve number 1. Ideally, 2 firefighters will be on either side of the patient in case their weights shift and to maintain balance. The operation will continue, filling additional sections until the desired height is reached. As you can see, the sole task of the firefighters on either arm of the patient is to help maintain their balance. As soon as the jack is high enough the patient can stand on his or her own, it will be an easy assist to the standing position.